Dear friends, today we celebrate the pinnacle of our Christian faith, the very heart of what we believe. Today's celebration began with the blessing of the fire outside. From the same fire, we lit the Paschal candle. In lighting the Paschal candle, the priest said, "May the light of Christ rising in glory dispel the darkness within our hearts and minds." This symbol of light and fire centers today's liturgy. In this symbol, we are strengthened by the light of Christ, whose resurrection dispels the darkness of our sinfulness, the darkness of our fearfulness, and the darkness of our hopelessness. It is fitting, therefore, for us to reflect on the glorified Jesus as light that dispels all darkness and fear. God's creation, which has been proclaimed to us in the biblical narrative, begins with the command, "Let there be light." Where there is light, life is born. Chaos can be transformed into cosmos. In that same reading, light is the most immediate image of God. He is total radiance, life, truth, and light. During today's celebration, the church reads the account of creation as a prophecy. In the resurrection, we see the most sublime fulfillment of what this text describes as the beginning of all things. God says once again, "Let there be light." The resurrection of Jesus is an eruption of light. Death is conquered. The tomb is thrown open. The risen one himself is light, the light of the world. With the resurrection, the Lord's day enters the night of history. Beginning with the resurrection, God's light spreads throughout the world and throughout history. This light alone, Jesus Christ, is the true light. Something more than the physical phenomenon of light. He is pure light. God, who causes a new creation to be born in the midst of the old, transforming chaos into cosmos. In today's celebration, the church represents the mystery of light, the light of Christ in the sign of this Paschal candle, whose flame is both light and flame and heat. This symbolism of light is connected with that of fire. Radiance and heat, radiance and the transforming energy contained in the fire. The Paschal candle burns and is thereby consumed. From the cross, from the sun's self-giving, light is born. True radiance comes into the world. From this Paschal candle, we too light our own candles. In doing so, Christ now divides light from darkness. In him we recognize what is true and what is false. what is radiance and what is darkness. With him, there wells up within us a light of truth, and we begin to understand. Now, while all this is indeed inspiring, moving, imagine being one of the Israelites, having walked so many kilometers, having done everything you can to get out of Egypt. You find yourself impeded by the sea, with your enemy pursuing you. The situation felt helpless. It felt hopeless. And they were afraid. In a contemporary world facing similar obstacles and challenges of today, you may be asking yourself, where must we go? What are the values by which we can put our lives in order? The values by which we can educate our young without giving them norms they may be unable to resist, or demanding of them things that perhaps should not be imposed upon them. Yet in the midst of all this, Moses says to the people, do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see what the Lord will do to you to rescue you today. Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see what the Lord will do to rescue you today. Some people in this very chapel will be writing exams this year, some their final exams. Some will be awaiting to be ordained priests. Some will be awaiting to profess their final vows. Some will be waiting to start new families. Some will be waiting to start new jobs. Some will begin new missions this very year. Though you have put so much effort in your studies, in your formation, in your apostolic work, in your daily life, you may feel like the Israelites, helpless, hopeless, and afraid. Not because you do not have the data, nor because you have not put enough effort to succeed. No, but mostly because you are afraid of failing. Sometimes this fear even emanates from also seeing ourselves as being pursued by people who would do anything to see us fail than succeed. We find ourselves in the captivity of negativity. Dear friends, do not be afraid. Sister Inez rightly and very well put those words around the sanctuary to remind us to not be afraid. As God worked through Moses to separate the sea, God also wishes to work through your own lecturers, your own community, your own family, and your friends to separate this sea of helplessness, this sea of hopelessness, this sea of distress, so that you too may walk on the dry ground of courage, the dry ground of hope, and the dry ground of triumph. As the angel and Jesus in the gospel said to the women at the tomb, so too we are told today, do not be afraid. Let God roll down that stone that is keeping you in the dark, that is keeping you among the dead, that is pulling out the life out of you. Come into the light and allow that light to engulf you. Be engulfed by Jesus resurrected and experience a newness of life in him. Let us allow Jesus to work in and through us to not only enlighten and warm the coldness of our hearts, but also those of others. Let us pray to the Lord that the flame of the candle, the flame that we have lit our own candles, the light of this world, be his love amid the confusions of this age. And that this light will not be extinguished within us, but will become even stronger and even brighter, so that we with him can be people of the day, bright stars lighting up our time, even where hope seems lost and tomorrow seems bleak. Let the resurrection of Jesus show us that there is a power higher and greater than darkness.